Hello, and thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. My name is Kara, and I'm a holistic health practitioner for both people and pets. After working for years in the conventional medicine field, I realized that while our lifespans may be getting longer, our health spans are rapidly shrinking. And when it comes to our pets, both their length and quality of life are decreasing. When I turned to functional medicine and a more holistic approach to health, I saw dramatic improvements for my pets, myself, and my patients. Join me each week as I merge natural health for people and pets by focusing on the root cause of disease and applying raw, real remedies that you can use to improve overall wellness for every member of your family, including the furry ones.
All right, everybody, and we are back with Lisa and Scott from Woof Creek. I've been looking forward to this literally for months since I saw you at, I was going to say Feed Reel, but actually it was Dr. Judy Morgan's experience in the summer. So we're going on like 10 months. So thank you for coming on today.
We're so glad
You're
to
welcome.
be here. Thanks for having us.
You know, you guys have been around for a few years, and I had seen your products before I ever met you in person. And of course, I want to know the backstory. Now, I know that you have it on your bio for your website, so I'm not going to beat it to death. But just briefly, I know that things took kind of a crazy turn for you guys in 2020, as it did for, I suspect, a lot of us. Can you tell us just a little bit about the pivot that you made?
Sure.
Well, I was born on a Thursday in 19...
Oh, well,
How
there you
far
go.
back do you want to go?
The
No?
1800s, I thought.
I see what you did there. This is going to be fun. All right, you say.
So we were in downtown Tampa at our restaurant catering business and had just reopened after a very large renovation in January of 2020 and kicking butt. We were killing it with the private and public sector, from the federal courthouse down to the local municipality. And he was running the kitchen, the menu. Everything was clean, ingredient. We called it artisan comfort, from his southern roots to
That sounds so good.
Real full-on meals, like brisket, right? Like that second week of March, we're starting to hear these rumors of COVID, and we snag a big cater with the New York Yankees. I had most of the team, and I heard from my contact, the managers, one of them was quarantined. Okay.
Yeah.
Day 2, half the team was
Oh,
quarantined.
no.
Day 3, we were like, this is real.
They were the first high-profile quarantine situation, I think.
Well, for us, I
Yeah.
mean, there was stuff
Yeah.
all
There
over.
was all over,
but
it was the Yankees, so they
It was-
made,
it was kind of like a very big in denial kind of situation. That weekend, we were
Yeah.
just, this is happening, and we didn't reopen. Tampa was ghost town. No one knew what was going on. For adults, our kids were kind of reeling, and they kind of said, you're home week 2, you're home and still home. What if we got a puppy? Because it would never happen. You live in the
it
restaurant.
was always no.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
all
We can't.
no.
because
The lifestyle didn't support. Yeah.
we didn't know
Yeah.
that much about dogs at that point, other than what we knew growing up, and we just knew that we didn't have the time that another family member deserved.
And gosh, that's like status quo, knowing we didn't have time. 5 years later, homemaking food and all the levels that we know now, it's just
Yeah.
bafflingly different. But anyway, we got our first pandemic puppy, Lily, and soon after, her adopted sister, Layla, both rehomes. And all the while, Scott is really using this time to play with treats, home make bone broth, do all these things for our new puppies. And I was learning behavior and training, and it really saved our lives. The 3 teenagers also, we just dove in. You actually had the chickens at that time because you wanted fresh eggs for the chickens. We became this little tiny homestead, and we're in a little bit of a La La Land fantasy world with our 2 new puppies.
Yeah.
And slowly we start to see chronic issues of coughing and allergies in Lily.
Oh, no.
We were given the food that we got from the prior owner, It was
Uh-huh.
Kimball. It was it.
Yeah,
And
we didn't know.
we didn't know.
No.
And we were with a conventional vet. So we were being told, oh, it might be this, it might be that. Let's do a CT scan. Let's do Zyrtec. Let's do some stuff. By January 1st, there was a full hospitalization and still nothing found, but it was Apoquel that was prescribed. And Scott was like, hold on. And we never looked back. He dove
Yeah.
in, certified medicinal mushrooms and novel proteins. And it is a rabbit hole that we would never not jump in.
And thankfully, for Lily's credited as one of the co-founders of
I love
Woof
it.
Creek.
Oh, Lily.
And that whole experience sounds horrible, but like my mom used to say, you got to go through the briars to get to the blackberries, and
I like that phrase.
and so
That
and
sounds
boy,
like something a Southerner would say.
yeah, and it comes out more like, well, you got to go through them briars to get them blackberries. You know what I'm saying? It comes out like that, but I just
Oh
wanted to
my gosh.
so everyone could understand.
Audible.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it in a nutshell. And then we just started making stuff.
So I have to, well, first I need to explain the reason why I looked like I had a tiny seizure there is because I just ordered my chickens, my first ever chickens. And I'm so excited. I'm like, I literally am taking off the days on my calendar until they arrive in April. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
I can't wait.
Good for you.
to have my
Reach out to
chickens.
him. He knows a bunch. And what he doesn't
I
know,
will be.
he'll say.
Because I know a lot about canine nutrition, but I don't know too much about chicken nutrition. So I'm going to be looking into it. But I have a follow-up question. You seemed really excited when you mentioned the Yankees. Are you big sports fans?
No, it's a nostalgic thing. I grew
Yeah.
up in New York. My grandfather, my pop, and my brother were just sports fanatics. So it was
Yeah.
kind of osmotically. There's a little nostalgia for the Yankees, for the Giants, and the good old Northeast. Though I don't miss it. I don't miss digging up the snow. Like I'm good. We're in the temper. But yeah, the New York
Yeah.
Yankees were a landmark in my childhood.
And for that time period during COVID, we were really excited to have that because we figured that
Yeah.
would help us bridge this gap. We had no clue how long it was going to last. We're like, okay, a couple weeks, we'll have the Yankees. We can close the restaurant for a couple weeks, but keep doing this.
I never
Yeah.
thought.
No clue.
I You're
I don't-
It was called the Bright Side Cafe, so we're both optimists. We balance each other, and he's optimistic when I'm not as. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that you thought that.
I was hoping. But anyway, yeah, I don't even watch football. Did I get that one right?
No.
Just
Well,
kidding.
clearly I should have
No, that's
chosen
not
something
true. I grew up
other
in
than.
Alabama. There's no way I didn't watch football.
Okay, thank goodness.
And my brother was an all-star baseball player, so I had my exposure.
I'm a
What
huge
about you?
Buffalo Bills fan. If you can't tell from the earrings and the shirt,
Yeah.
and well, actually,
Yeah.
you can't. Here's the logo. But
Nice.
I fangirled a little bit once because when I used to work in the ER at Buff General, Colida is where the Buffalo Bills go if they need medical care. And interestingly enough, and I can't say who it was just because HIPAA, but I
Sure.
did one time get to meet a Buffalo Bill who came
Whoa.
into the ER because he was sent there because he had flu-like symptoms. And I was the lucky duck that had to do the brain scrambling swab on him and then go back in and tell him he had COVID and he couldn't play that Sunday
Oh, good for you. Wow.
in 2021.
Oh my God,
Oh,
that's
that's
crazy.
rough.
That's
So
a
that
big-
was the only time I got to meet a Buffalo Bill was when I was shoving something up into his brain. So
That's wonderful.
She kept that swab, by the way.
I know you did.
and I haven't washed my hands since.
It's a little keepsake.
So, all right, pulling it back to what we're actually here for. So, as you guys know, this is a podcast about both people and pets, which is why I was so excited to have you guys on because you have a foot in both worlds. So I'm curious, Scott, what actually drew you to become a chef? Like before 2020, before the big pivot, like
Yeah.
how did you even get into that world? I had a buddy who did one semester of chef school and he was like, or culinary school. And then he said, this is not for me. And he left. And that's about
Yeah.
all the experience I have with actual professional culinary people. So can you tell me about
Mhm.
that?
It was an accident, really. I mean, I grew up in the South and
Yeah.
in the rural South of Alabama. And I was always around. My brothers were older, so they were out with my dad hunting or doing whatever. And I was at home with mom, aunts, grandma. I was in the kitchen because that's where they always were. So I don't know how much attention I paid to that, but I was around food coming out of the fields. I was around watching my grandmother can, watching my mother can,
Awesome.
drying the seeds for the next year's spring planting, and all that. I was exposed to that for a really long time at a really young age. Beekeeping, keep pigs, chickens, the whole nine, right? Yeah, I was
Beekeeping
there.
terrifies me.
Yeah. And so it's one of the coolest memories watching my granddad dressed up like a spaceman going into this old school bus where the bees were kept. Crazy. But fast forward to
Portland?
probably 19 years old. I go to Portland, Oregon from Alabama and just to stay with some family. Went for the summer, stayed 3 years, had the best time of my life. One of those, a Thanksgiving in there, my aunt breaks her arm. I help her out in the kitchen, not having a clue with what I'm doing, and it just felt like some things were coming naturally to me, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, "This is kind of cool." Forgot all about it. My cousin got a flyer in the mail to go to the Western Culinary Institute in Portland, Oregon, and I picked it up and said, "Sure, why not?" And so I went to school and did the 2-year program, had a pretty good time at it. You know, I didn't like being in the front of the house part. Didn't like that at all. It was so intimidating and scary to me. But got out, got a great first job as a dishwasher, and
And never look back.
great education,
Yep.
you know. But honestly, that's it. It was truly an accident. It's not something that I ever, it wasn't a dream at all.
When did it become? Sorry,
Mm.
this isn't something
Ask
news to
Lisa.
me.
It became
Ask him the
passion-
question.
I became passionate about it, I think, like last Tuesday.
Sorry, your snort is so cute. Scott, tell us when you became passionate.
It took years, it took years. I didn't become passionate about cooking until, I don't know, I think it took like a good 10 years. Maybe
What
when
chef or
I
something?
started working in Atlanta, I moved to Atlanta and I started working at some really amazing restaurants and chefs that were, world renowned and James Beard Award winning people that I'm still in contact with, great people. And that's when the rubber really started hitting the road and I started seeing that this is not just a job. There's things in this that seem like alchemy, to me. And
Yeah.
I started really getting into the science of it, reading. There's a great book by Harold McGee. It's called The Food and Lore of the Kitchen, Food and Lore of the Kitchen on Food and Cooking, something like that. Anyway, it'll break a black bean down into its separate molecules and tell you why you soak it before you boil it type thing.
That's
And
cool.
that rekindled my interest in it, and that's where I've been ever since. Is that interest of Lily's breathing heavy on us, so she's getting some treats right now. That's why we're
Oh,
both
that's
looking
okay.
down. We're not praying.
I've
we're
already-
looking at Lily. So
Don't be.
yeah, that's
This
it.
is a podcast about pets. I've already
Yeah.
sent Bear back to his bed 3 times. So
But the necessity to find something to do, 19
Yeah.
early 20s was the main reason, and then the next was passion came after that long period of, they say get your 10,000 hours before you know what you're doing.
yeah,
And that's true. That's true.
I think that's true for a lot of people and professions. When I went to nursing school, I had never aspired to work in human healthcare. I wanted to be a vet.
Mhm.
And I changed my track at the last minute because my cat, who I had all through my childhood, died in my I was almost done with my first year of prereqs for vet school, and I was so traumatized by her having to be euthanized that I was like, I can't do this. So I went to school the next day and I said to my guidance counselor, I said, what can I do with these credits? And she clicked in her computer and she goes, you could do nursing. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll give that a try. And now here I am 15 years later. And, I wasn't even going to become a nurse practitioner. it was not on my radar. I thought I would just be a bedside nurse forever. Well, there's no just about it because
Yeah, yeah.
bedside nurses do
You don't
all of the things.
yeah.
But I didn't think I was going to go forward. And then in I was finishing up my bachelor program. So now 4 years of nursing. I had worked as a nurse for 2 years. I went back, did my bachelor degree, and I had an opportunity to go on a medical mission to Africa of all places.
Mhm.
Wow.
And while I was there, I did a lot more in terms of like helping out in the surgical suite and just things that nurses don't normally do in the States. And I was thinking about going back to school to become a doctor, a physician. And all of the doctors that I were with said, don't do it.
Uh,
And a lot of quoting about like work life balance and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then one of them said, well, why don't you become a nurse practitioner? I was like, oh man, I never thought of that. And I went home and I found a program and I applied for a scholarship. And I said, if I don't get it, I'm going to go be a travel nurse. And I got it. So I went back, you know? So, and I wouldn't say that I was truly passionate about it until maybe 4 years ago when it
mhm.
went from being exciting, because I did a lot of ER and ICU, a lot of truly like life-saving measures, right? The adrenaline, not knowing what's coming in, having to do CPR and stuff like that. It was exciting, but it wasn't really passionate until I discovered functional medicine, and I credit that to my animals. And now, 15 years into my career, I actually wake up feeling excited, and the passion really is there when it never was before. So
It's
I think it
cool.
can come at any time, in many ways. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what wholly fits.
yeah.
Because helping, but long-term helping. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's very
so the trajectory is there. Hopefully it keeps on going. So, okay, so you mentioned that you like the science and you talked a little bit about that book. Working as a chef for people, I think a big one, if we're talking about getting like a little bit scientific, that really grinds my gears is when I turn over packaging and it says natural flavors.
Mm,
Can you
mm,
can you tell us what that means?
yeah. Um, Natural flavors. And
color.
it's something that we all used to take for granted, you know. Oh, natural flavors. I'm glad it says natural.
It's
Um,
natural.
just that all that speaks to is the origin of it. It
Okay.
it's a regulatory term that does mean that it probably does come from somewhere in nature, but so do so does cobra venom and radioactive isotopes. They both occur naturally. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean you take a big tablespoon of either one. Um, and so it I don't I steer away from them myself. And obviously in our with our products we don't use that because most of our products are well all of our products don't have a palatability that would be offensive.
Yeah.
And that's truly the only time that you need natural flavoring is either when it's processed so much that the natural flavor that was there is gone,
Hmm.
or that there's a chemical component in it that tastes so bad or is bitter or something like that that you need a natural flavor to mask that. So there's
Yeah.
really no use in it. I would have never have used it. The only time I would have used flavoring as a chef is I was adding a little vanilla extract to some ice cream or something like that. But
Hmm.
99.9% of the time, I was using vanilla beans instead. And if I used an extract, I'd have to figure out how it was extracted.
Yeah.
The
So this
process.
was even before you got like more into because now you're creating these products which are human grade products, but
Yeah.
we're using them for pets. So this has been like long standing for you throughout your career as a chef that you always kind of gravitated toward the more actual natural things, not the
Yeah.
quote natural flavors.
Certainly. And that it
Yeah.
goes back to how I grew up, you know.
Yeah.
With seeing the food where it was growing
Yeah.
and watching it being made and everything, and we weren't adding natural flavors, you know, quote
Yeah.
unquote,
Yeah.
to that sort of stuff. And yeah, it just makes sense, you know, to not.
So I'm curious because you obviously have this farm to table background, and I'm sure a lot of people who work in the culinary industry do not. Maybe came from big cities, didn't live on a farm, didn't really see that aspect of it. Excuse me. And I'm just so curious. How many people do you think are in the food industry who really are more willing to use like chemicals and science as opposed to
Mm.
enhancing the actual flavors and using the constituents of food to make something taste great?
Well, I would say I know that any chef worth their salt
Yeah.
is going to want to do it as naturally as they possibly can, because chefs were naturally egotistical, so we want the credit for it. We don't want to give the credit to an ingredient, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
whenever we see or hear someone um, uh, using an ingredient like that to enhance flavor, you're going to get some crap from your colleagues.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, where's the skill? That's not skill.
A little bit of
But I
professional
would,
shit talking.
yeah, exactly. I would say that a lot of prepared foods and things like that, you're starting to see more of those in the food industry, obviously,
Yeah.
over processed foods, I mean, and it's out of convenience. So as in every industry, as the cost of that industry rises, the cost of doing business in that industry rises, more and more suppliers are going to pop up with convenience and foods that are economical to add to your business. So that's a problem too. Um, I can't give you much examples because I really didn't do that.
Because you didn't do it, which is
Yeah,
good. We don't
it
want you
would
to do it.
be a convenience food would be buying. The simplest one would be buying cartons of eggs,
Yeah.
or buckets of already cracked eggs. That's pretty minimalistic, but there usually is some sort of weird preservative in that you don't want,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. And it's
Yeah.
just never going to react the same. So that's one of the first convenience foods that I could think of, And typically, I never had to do that. I always had an egg
You're in a
cracker.
higher end
Yeah.
restaurant, kind of.
And if we were using a lot of eggs, we had someone cracking eggs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the other day at work, somebody, I don't know, a patient or maybe another office brought us in bagels and cream cheese. Now I'm gluten free, so I was not going to eat those bagels, but I do like me some cream cheese. So
Hmm.
I was like, I'm just going to go get a spoonful of cream cheese. And so I walk into our little kitchen area and I pick up the cream cheese, and it was whipped cream cheese. Now, I have actually never bought cream cheese in whipped form. I've always just bought cream cheese. And so, because I do this with everything I eat, even if I've bought it before, I turned it over and I looked at the ingredient label. And there was uh, carob bean gum, guar gum,
Yeah.
and one I had never heard of before, nevamycin. And I'm like, that sounds like an antibiotic. So I went back to my computer and I typed it in. Indeed, it is an antifungal agent used to prevent fungal growth in certain foods. I was so appalled to see that was in there. I put
Yeah.
it back, and then I told everyone in the office, and I was like, just so you know, your cream cheese has antibiotics in it. Don't eat that.
You're paying. That's a convenience product because you can. The whipping of it makes it easier to spread.
Mm-hmm.
When you whip it, it's going to start separating. So you need to add the
Yeah.
gums to it to hold
Yep.
it together. And once you
Yeah.
add gums, then you have a carbohydrate source in there that could bloom some sort of fungi. So
Yeah.
then you add the antibiotic feature to it as well. So you just keep adding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just made me think of, so at the cafe, which before the cafe, you were doing recipe formulation with Publix, the grocery store chain down here, and
Mhm.
chef school. I had been in hotels and restaurants, and usually very fast casual restaurants. This
Yeah.
restaurant, when he joined, it was a principled kind of thing. We were downtown and people were trying to come in fast and furious, trying to get in and out on their lunch break. But we were not about the speed. We actually had a line, like it wasn't a buffet. It was, what's the word?
It was like a cafeteria type thing.
That our staff
I
would
used to call
serve.
I used to call it the old meat and three.
But it was like really high-end food that was prepared since like 6 a.m. when we got in.
Yeah.
And nothing was like, nothing pre-done, no nothing flash frozen from our distributor. It was all fresh ingredients.
Fresh
And
that day.
we kind of figured out how to take care of our audience's needs with speed, which is it's ready and we just dish it. They don't have to wait the 30 minutes it would take to prepare an per order
Yeah.
brisket or what have you. No microwave, no, none of that. The speed and the longevity, we didn't need any of that because everything was done at the end of the day. There was zero left. If we sold out, we sold out because everything the next day was going to be fresh. We wanted subtly, really, to take care of these hardworking people in downtown. We didn't want to add those artificial colors, flavors, preservatives. It was real. And we really did transition to that was already building for Woof Creek for the girls.
Our
It's so crazy.
philosophies were aligned in
Yeah.
that sense that we wanted to start from scratch in everything we
Scratch
do.
kitchen, yeah.
Which I think it's funny I made a joke before we started recording about how I didn't realize what went into making a podcast until I started making a podcast. And that's, I realized that translates here, right? You don't realize what goes into owning a restaurant or being a chef, and cooking for people because it's far beyond just cooking the food and serving it to them. It's time, it's what your population needs. It's catering to that niche. So
Yeah.
what skills would you say from that industry being, owning that kind of business? How does that translate then into what you're doing now with Woof Creek?
The first thing that pops to my head has nothing to do with the food or the ingredients. It's service and
Yeah.
customer service. And we pride ourselves. We probably spend a little too much time answering emails and really digging deep on almost every question that comes our way.
Yeah.
And that's just, it comes natural to us with you being in the hotel business and then the restaurant business and being in the front of the house side and me being in the back of the house side. That putting the customer first always, without losing respect for yourself or your establishment, has really done well for us as Wolf Creek.
I think you're right.
Yeah, that's one of the
The
first
empathy.
things for sure. And then
People first, too.
yeah, and then it really just started working out well. She was always the business side, and one of the faces up front. So you're able to, let's be for real. Who runs the business? This one. So she does great at making sure the wheels stay on the bus at Wolf Creek, and I make sure that we keep fuel in it. And it
Yeah.
really works really well. In terms of other things that I take with me everywhere I go as a chef is how I would source things too.
Oh.
You can't always make a partnership with a local farmer. And if you can't, then you really drill down in where it's coming from and make sure how it's grown. Same thing with what we're doing with Wolf Creek. I can't fly to India to look at the Baswalia serrata being drawn out of the frankincense tree. So I have to dig deep, look at the
You
COAs,
can't yet.
not yet, learn
Not yet. One
everything.
day.
Learn everything I can about these ingredients before I even consider using them in a formula. And then from there, I want to know how they're extracted, dried, everything. So
Yeah.
that chef thing stays there. And one of the most interesting things, and then that'll be the last part of that, is the first true skill I used as a chef was when we made our paw balm. We call it Boo Boo Balm. And I had to figure out how to emulsify fats together with some non-fat liquids. And I'm a chef. I can emulsify stuff. I can make mayonnaise. I can do that. I can make a hollandaise sauce. And it was a different ball game using that. I had to use a few different things, but yeah, I figured it out. And that was when I was like, this is a little bit like being a chef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you take all of that knowledge about ingredient sourcing and then also creation and put that toward a superior product. So I definitely want to talk about some of your products, but before we get into that, we do need to take a super quick break so that we can hear from our sponsors, and then we're going to talk about your superfood blends, I think, to start.
Great.
I'm excited to announce that My Pet Carnivore is a sponsor of Raw Remedies Podcast. You know that I only recommend a company, product, or brand if I believe in their values, their products, and their mission. Well, I'm happy to say that My Pet Carnivore fits that bill, which is exactly why I'm so excited to bring them to your attention. My Pet Carnivore strives to feed our pet carnivores like, well, carnivores. They have excellent sourcing, never use 4D meat, and have their fingers in every step of the process from farms to manufacturing. They value their customers and tailor their offering to their needs. My Pet Carnivore has a ton of proteins available, from your usual turkey and beef to those that are more novel, such as beaver, rabbit, and muskrat. And the most exciting part for me, they have an insane amount of fish proteins available. You'll find everything from whole prey sardines and mackerel to ground herring and wild-caught salmon, even freeze-dried shrimp and minnows, which make an awesome snack for cats and smaller dogs. The offerings are expansive, and I highly recommend checking them out. Head to www.mypetcarnivore.com to learn more, shop, and order. And if you'd like to receive 10% off your first order, use code Raw Remedies at checkout. All right, and we are back, and we're going to talk about some of the products that Woof Creek offers. I have looked very extensively on your page. I've used a few of them myself. I actually have the flea and tick sitting in the cabinet waiting for winter to loosen its hold on Buffalo, New York, so that I can start using it again. So can you tell us a little bit about those superfood blends? Like, what purposes are they used for? I would love to hear more about their details.
Sure.
You want to start with the first?
Yeah,
Your first formulation?
Lisa, and when she was telling the story about Lily and the allergies and things like that, is that where I start? That is where I start, right?
What's that?
Tell it. She's better at this than I am. I don't know what I have for breakfast.
I just said to a patient the other day, if I ate breakfast, I wouldn't know what I had for breakfast. My breakfast is usually a tea followed by another tea and then lunch.
Yeah. I think mine was coffee now that you mention it.
Yeah.
But
So-
it's a great story.
So Lily, this 3-4 month conundrum of her chronic coughing. She wasn't sleeping. It was a stress or allergy. Like, we were testing everything. They were pushing trazodone, which luckily we didn't need. It was stress and allergies often go hand in hand. So that led to Scott finding first functional mushrooms. And there's a lot of wonderful crossover between turkey tail, reishi, lion's mane. They are beta glucans. All of the aspects of them really do. I mean, it's often the case. One name of the game: inflammation and diversity, gut balance, all of that, which we didn't know then yet. But those mushrooms, and he started introducing those with some cleaner proteins, and he's starting to source these things. In fact, the blends became, hey, let's give these to our girls, and we're learning so much, our neighbors, friends, family, and all of this pivotal feedback came back. We were like, no, this really does work.
Yeah.
So the first and second blends were our stress support and our allergy and immunity. And I stress the immunity because it's often the autoimmune, like all the triggers that we learn about, it's the immune boost. Not necessarily is it allergies. In her case, it was a dust allergy, among other things. We were feeding kibble, so we gradually transitioned to raw. I remember those 12 days right away.
Yeah.
But the blends became an evolution of full support, and then after, like, for Lily and Layla, 3-4 weeks, they were so 100% good that we played around with waning. and just went to like half, and now we're at like a micro serving of most of our things except the flea and tick. Um, and it's just support. It's a proactive regimen because
Maintenance dose. Yeah.
Yeah.
keeping in the bloodstream all of these ingredients that are sans fillers. So it is 100% bioavailable, nothing to pull from that but the superfoods.
And bioavailability is kind of where a lot of this really took flight for me, because I started researching like vitamins, because I wanted my girls to have a good source of vitamins. And I didn't know from anything about synthetic versus natural and this and that. So the more I found out, I started learning about the bioavailability of things. And almost immediately in that research, I was discovering how liver could be such a great, or any organ really, is like one of Mother Nature's multivitamins, And for our stress support complex, we wanted a high value of B vitamins in that. Well, and if you look at B vitamin on a vitamin bottle, it's usually 12, 15, 20,000%. It's because most of it comes right out, and
Expensive pee. That's what I tell
Yeah,
my patients.
exactly.
You're paying for expensive pee.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I started learning more about bioavailability and how these whole foods were much easier to process for the animal, because there's countless of little micronutrients in there that carry these nutrients to where they need to go. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. And the same with, we're talking about allergy as well, the same with kelp. Kelp is the number one ingredient in that, because it is it has so many different functions, and you well know it's great for the thyroid. And so that's where I really started learning about whole foods, how these things work, and why that was more important than just going and looking for a B vitamin or going to looking for some sort of extracted glucosamine, rather than adding a whole food source of that. And that's how we built all of these. And the mushrooms have a double function. Well, they have multifunction, but as the chef part of it was because of their natural umami. So mushrooms we're known for our senses, right? Well, they say umami is another sense, like another taste in your mouth. There's bitter, there's sweet, there's salty.
Really?
Yeah, bitter, sweet, salty. Umami is the next, and umami comes from soy sauce,
The meaty.
Parmesan cheeses, and mushrooms. And our pets love that, because liver would have a very strong umami presence. So why not add some shiitake mushrooms and this and that? Because they also are great for the gut. They're great for histamine regulation, blah, blah, blah. And also, they taste great.
Yeah. I love that because you're right. It's like the two birds, one stone, right? Anything that can serve a dual purpose because of its functional status. Plus it tastes great. It's like a no-brainer.
Or else we would have to add flavor, natural flavor. And you've seen that.
Yep.
And that's why it was like so amazing that his formulation was so multifaceted.
Back to the natural flavor thing. One thing I failed to mention about that, I do think that natural flavoring is also added as a marketing, especially in pet foods, to market to the pet parent. Right? Lily's not reading a label, and she could care less about bacon flavor, but a parent's going to go, bacon? Hell yeah, everybody loves bacon.
Yeah, of course my dog will want this. It's got bacon in it.
That's one of the biggest reasons for it too, is to be able to say, it tastes like this, you need to buy it.
Yeah. So much of the supplement industry is based in marketing, and it's really frustrating. And I talk to my patients about this all the time, because I'm a supplement snob, and I research thoroughly before I recommend anything to anyone. And I had somebody come in just the other day. I love that you mentioned the glucosamine. So I had someone come in the other day, and she has arthritis. She's on the older side, and she's been really stiff, but she can't take NSAIDs, right? Ibuprofen and things like that, which 90% of people take for arthritis. She can't take NSAIDs because she has to be on a blood thinner because she has AFib, a heart arrhythmia.
Sure.
And so she said, what can I take for my arthritis? My friend mentioned this, and my cousin takes that. And I said, well, there's some natural things that we can explore that are not going to thin out the blood. Do you want to talk about those? And she seemed very skeptical. And by the time we finished the conversation, and I had recommended to her bone broth for the natural glucosamine and chondroitin, turmeric with black pepper for the natural anti-inflammatory effects. Unfortunately, she couldn't do a therapeutic dose fish oil because she's on the blood thinner.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about full spectrum hemp extract because we have CB2 receptors in our skin, which help with pain relief, and like 3 or 4 other things. By the time I was done with her, she said, I'm going to tell all of my friends to come and talk to you because they all have arthritis and I think that you could really help. And I was like, oh, thank you. And it's
Great.
nice to get that kind of feedback because if you go to a conventional primary care office, they're going to say, oh, you can't take ibuprofen? Just take Tylenol. And they're going to send you on your merry way, right? Or even worse, they're going to do something like prescribe you gabapentin or hydrocodone. And it really breaks my heart when I see people get put on prescriptions that have an impact on the body, right? Tylenol is going to hit your liver. Hydrocodone is going to hit your brain. It's going to cause constipation. It's going to build up a tolerance. It's going to, you know what I mean? And these things are just necessary temporarily in extreme circumstances because nobody wants to be in excruciating pain. But they should never be looked at as like the gold standard or a lifelong therapy.
It's the time.
And so anything natural, exactly. Yeah. And so I love that you guys are doing that with your ingredients. You have whole food sources that serve a purpose, whose constituents are going to do something in the body that is beneficial and natural. And I think if more companies did this in the pet world, we'd be in much better shape, but unfortunately they don't. And so they have to rely on a ton of marketing and a picture of a cartoon dog holding a bacon strip on their package to get you to buy it.
That's the thing, like the proactive, I think both of us, and in the health industry, I feel like you as well, have an understanding of long-term proactive support for yourself. Nothing is preventative. We don't know. But like our girls, as soon as pet parents communicated their, I learned about IBDD with doxies and like all of these hip dysplasia, all of these things that we having puppies didn't, and we're not vets, obviously. These things that are around the corner potentially with all the new breeding issues and neuter spay issues and vaccine issues. Let's treat for what's down the road,
right?
Holistically. And so our girls have been on collagen and New Zealand green lips since they were tiny in small, proactive. Why not? What would be the harm? And it's proving out.
They've been on rabbit poop for a really long time too.
Yeah, I hear that's really great for the microbiome. So you have 4 different omega-3 oils, including 2 that are not made from fish, which I love. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Algal oil is made from algae, and it's made in a controlled environment, which kind of sounds a little creepy, but it's actually very cool. Because you can control what type of water is being used, meaning you're certain that there's no heavy metals, you're certain that there's no contaminants in the water because the water's tested first, and then the algae grows, and then it's extracted like many other oils are from other plant material and made into a wonderful triglyceride oil. And
can I elaborate?
Please.
It's my favorite.
Yeah,
it's my all-time favorite. Because I talk to pet parents every weekend at the artisan farmers markets, and it is a single ingredient. It is no carrier oils. Functional preservative is 0.15 of mixed tocopherols, which is vitamin E. It is really a clean support of inflammation response control. 4 times the DHA of any fish oil.
Wow.
So you've got a potent amount of DHA, omega-3 fatty acid, in a smaller amount of oil, which oil is often that thing that causes tummy tumult when you're introducing an oil topper. And it is a great seafood scent. Pets love it, dogs and cats, but it is high pivotal inflammation support.
Mm-hmm.
So we love it for anyone who knows or doesn't know if their pet has an animal protein sensitivity, which is often the case. And for us, day one, Scott has always looked at sustainability as a core mission for us. And he went to a conference a few years ago learning about all of the fish we're taking from the world's whales, sharks. We are diminishing the supply, and a US-based cultivated algal oil, which, by the way, is the food source of fish, creating the DHA and EPA omega-3 in them. This is the base. So it's hitting so many more pivotal, important points, and I can't speak enough about it. It's my favorite.
And the other one, my favorite actually, is our ahi flower oil.
Yeah.
And I like it because I've always been fascinated by certain plant oils and how they carry nutrients, especially omega fatty acids. And I do know that we know that plant oils like hemp, chia, flax do offer a certain amount of fatty acids. They have to be converted by the body. And this ahi flower oil is primarily an SDA fatty acid. Don't ask me for the really long word that's connected to. But instead of DHA, EPA, it's SDA. And what that does in dogs and in humans, not so much in cats, it converts to a nutritional supplemental amount of EPA. So you have the alga oil heavy DHA and the ahi flower heavy SDA, great companions for each other. And also, if you're the pet parent that really loves a good kiss from your dog every once in a while, and you don't want it to smell like the ocean, then this is your oil because it's pretty much inert in flavor and aroma. So
well, we get a lot of kisses at our house, so that's good to know.
We encourage them. And once again, sustainability. It's grown in fields in England, and it's so easy to grow, and there's not any real natural pest for it, so it doesn't need pesticides. It's a non-GMO. It's really, really a pretty cool plant itself, and we really like it. Feels good using that and giving it to our girls. In fact, talking about the chickens, I actually give it to chickens too.
Well, so he has so we had chickens. They one by one had predators in our neighborhood.
I'm not a great farmer.
We no longer have chickens, but our across the street neighbor has chickens, a very large flock, and he's taking care of them for a few days at a time when the neighbor's gone away. A month ago, the across the street neighbor called over to Scott.
You want to take care of the chickens? I'm like, yeah, I want to take care of the chickens. The day you left, when you coming back? I'll see you in 5 months. Great. So I've got chickens.
We've got eggs that are fed the way he wants them fed.
I have 14 hens.
Yep. Chicken dad by proxy. Oh my
That's
gosh.
it.
That's so amazing.
By the way, eggs are another great omega. Just saying.
Yeah. I can't wait until I can just go out to the coop and pick up some eggs and then come inside and add them to the dish.
Yes.
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
I said eggs and Lily popped up. Her face was like,
so cute.
Chef tip. If you enjoy boiled eggs, take your fresh eggs and let them sit for at least 2 weeks. It's going to be very difficult to peel a very fresh egg. Fresh eggs are great for frying because they hold together. They're tight and they hold together very well. Not so easy for boiling though, because it's hard to peel it and you'll lose some of that membrane. You want that membrane too.
Good to know. I would never have thought to even look that up on the internet. So thank you for sharing that tidbit. And by the way, guys, I just want to add, because I don't think we mentioned, you guys have completely sustainable plastic-free packaging, right? From your tins to your little wooden scoopers.
Very close.
Very close. And I'm glad you brought that up. The tins are wrapped in plastic for regulatory to hold the top on and this and that. We're looking for solutions.
But yes, they're food grade and reusable.
And
we love
our treats are still in a plastic pouch. We're looking for biodegradable solutions. It's difficult. the life of the freeze-dried or dehydrated treat exceeds the life of the compostable pouch. So we use a recycled material and recyclable pouch
for the treats
right now.
Perfect.
But
And
we're
for the-
doing, everything we can to get out of plastic.
We're very excited. We're always puzzling. Like I'm looking at our stock
Yeah.
right now. We have our powders. The refill program is in a commercially compostable regular pouch. And because we're moving through our product, because so many wonderful pet parents and wonderful pet pros like you and veterinarians we're able to move through. But because the shelf life of a starch plant-based package, they will degrade. So we're consistently looking, and they have to be commercially composted, not home composted. We're doing everything humanly that
It'll
we
never
can.
stop. That effort will never stop.
No. And our glass bottles for our oils, of course, we don't want our ingredients touching BPA at all. The caps are still plastic, so we're always looking
Working
for
on
a
that.
metal cap.
This
Yeah.
is the hardest thing to get filled at a manufacturer. And because we refuse to conform to the industry standard of the plastic bottle.
Yeah.
And it's been a very, very difficult road for us, but it's one that we're proud to travel for your listeners and all the pet parents out there.
Excellent. I love to hear that. So if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice when it comes to just like nutrition, clean eating, and how that supports our health, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to echo what Lisa said about the way we live.
Yeah.
We exist symbiotically with our pets. So
Yeah.
it's important to take care of ourselves. And at the same time, that will help us take care of our pets. I noticed just yesterday, Lily was starting to chew on a pillow. That is outside behavior for her.
Yeah.
So Lisa and I looked at each other and said, we need to chill out. We need to calm down and take a breath, like she said, because I can see what's going on with Lily. And that goes from our plate to their bowl. What are they eating? What are we eating? The whole 9 yards. Are we taking our afternoon walks? Are we letting them out enough to run in the yard? All these things, we exist together, and it's so important that we look out for each other. That's
That
what
is
I would
so
say.
true and
Yeah.
so perfectly said.
Thank you.
So this was a phenomenal episode, and I want to share that Woof Creek is offering listeners 20% off their first purchase with the code RAWREM. So that's RAWREM, all one word. And thank you, because 20% is a really generous discount, more than most offer. So can you tell my listeners how they can find you, how they can find your products?
Sure. Woofcreek.com. That's WOOF Creek. And through our socials, Wolf Creek Wellness on Instagram. And we're also with Dr. Judy Morgan and select veterinarians and indie pet stores across the country. But bark@woofcreek.com. Email us if you have any questions. We're invested. Like we want to help and even match you with the right fit on our website or beyond, because we've, like I said, dug down that rabbit hole, and we want to help get balance for family members for you like ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't have it, we'll point you to it.
Awesome. I love it. All right, you guys, thank you so much. This was amazing. I'm looking forward to connecting with you again soon and hopefully seeing you maybe at another event. But until then,
100%.
I hope 2026 treats you well.
Likewise.
You too,
Thank
Kara. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Please remember that you, yes, you, are the driving force that helps keep small businesses and platforms like mine running. So if you liked what you heard, please like, share, and most importantly, rate this podcast. It's the only way we can reach more people and spread the word about natural health. None of the conditions discussed or recommendations given are meant to replace the advice of your health provider. So if you have concerns about yourself or your pets, please confer with a human or animal health practitioner. Have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you next week.